What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Arie here, and today I'm bringing you a full guide on how to go from $0 to $1,000 per day with your Shopify store using Facebook ads. Now, this is going to be a complete guide, and I'm actually going to dive into my ad account and show you the day-by-day progression so that you can see exactly how you can achieve this too. So if you just give me like 20 minutes of your time, I promise you it's going to be worthwhile. Now, before we actually hop into the strategy and all those things, I want to make a quick note that this whole strategy is based on a demo store, so like an example store that I created from scratch. So this store started with a new pixel, with a new store, a new page, new everything. So if you're wondering whether or not I already had pixel data in order to do this or anything like that, this should answer that question. No, this started 100% from scratch. So this means that you can replicate this whole process and get some similar results, given you actually follow the steps that I'm gonna give you. So as you can see, this store went from $0 to $1,000 per day in only 4 days. So the 4th day of the store being active was actually the first $1,000 day for the store. And this was a very recent store that we started. So this not only works in 2019, but I'm 100% sure that it will continue to work in 2020, even through the CBO updates. And I'll talk more about that throughout the video, but let's just get right into it. So I actually structured this entire presentation into basically 4 simple steps. Now, the first step, of course, is building the foundation. So creating your store and making sure that everything looks presentable. The second step is, of course, the ad, right? So the actual video marketing material that you're going to be using to actually get people onto your store so that they can then buy. The third step is going to be the actual testing strategy that you're going to be following. So like I said, this is the step-by-step, day-by-day progression of what you're actually going to be doing when it comes to Facebook ads. And then, of course, the fourth and final step is going to be analyzing your data and scaling from there, which is, of course, the most exciting part of all this. Now, I want to give you a quick disclaimer because, of course, I don't want to give you unrealistic expectations. I was able to use this strategy effectively, and given you follow these steps, you are likely to be able to find success with this strategy as well. But, of course, I am very experienced. I've been doing this for a very long time, and I'm constantly updating my strategies and staying on top of all the current changes and changes in the market. And right now, you will need at least $1,000 to actually sustain your Facebook ad spend. Now, this doesn't mean that we're going to be spending $1,000 on a product test, but what this does mean is that if you don't have that amount of money, it's most likely going to be very difficult for you to actually scale, largely due to the fact that you don't get your payouts right away. So if you don't have $1,000 to spare, I highly recommend that you don't start running Facebook ads quite yet. You can build a foundation, you can build ads and stuff like that, but your best course of action is most likely going to be following an Instagram influencer marketing strategy rather than a Facebook ad strategy. And if you want me to make a good influencer marketing strategy video, make sure you drop a like on this video. If we get 500 likes or more, I'll make the video, and also let me know in the comments. So the first step, of course, is the foundation. When it comes to the foundation, it really does all start with a great product. But I will say that unlike what a lot of people will tell you, there's rarely going to be any product that actually sells itself. You actually have to put in the work into your marketing in order to sell a product effectively. Now, if you don't know where to find products or how to get ideas of products to potentially sell, I strongly recommend that you check out my previous video in which I actually find validated winning products for you that you could potentially sell. I go into Google Trends and I show you the longevity of these products so that you can be safe knowing that these products are not just a trend and that they're not just gonna die out, next month, right? These are the types of products that I love to look for. So I'll link that video in the description so that you can watch it after watching this video. But either way, here are some baseline tips that you should follow. Now, once you pick a product, make sure that you do some research on it, right? So let's say you already picked a product, make sure you actually start Googling some stuff about the niche that it's in. Now, ideally, the product could be in a niche that you're already passionate about so that you can actually know exactly the pain points of your niche, some selling points that you could potentially use. But if you don't, then make sure that you take some extra time to do some research on this, right? Find some other brands that are selling similar products and know exactly what this product actually does and how, right? These sound like simple things, but trust me, the majority of people that aren't successful with their product tests, it's largely due to the fact that they rush into a product not really knowing exactly what it does and why, so they're not able to sell it effectively. Now, of course, you should also be looking at reviews on Amazon. So more often than not, products that you will be testing are already available on Amazon, and don't let this discourage you. There's always going to be other people in the market selling something for cheaper. We're not really competing on price here. Of course, you want to have a reasonable price on your product, but you don't need to be the cheapest product on the market. So don't get discouraged if you see your product on Amazon, but do look at the reviews and look at what people are saying about this product, not only to make sure that the quality is actually decent, but also to find pain points that people are speaking of in the description. So a lot of times, for example, in reviews, you can actually find a lot of questions that people may be asking, which you could then include in like a frequently asked questions section in your product page, right? So if you know some of the questions that customers are asking, then maybe it would be wise to put some of those questions and answer them in your product description to have your visitors trust you and then convert easier. So like I said, doing research is absolutely essential. This will allow you to find a lot of pain points and emotional triggers that you can use to market your product effectively. Emotional selling is the best way to actually market your product. Finding pain points and solutions to those pain points are the best way for you to be able to sell your product well, have high conversions, and be able to scale effectively. Now, I want to make a quick side note before I move on from this. You don't need to sell problem-solving products. I've actually sold many non-problem-solving products, and one of my brands right now is not really a problem-solving brand, but you can still use emotional selling by telling stories or just really knowing what your niche is looking for when it comes to the product that you're selling. Now let me show you a quick example of a brand that's built an amazing foundation, because this will really allow you to get the hang of what I'm talking about when I say build a good foundation. This store is called BlendJet, and I've shown it in different videos in the past, but what I really want you to see is how they only really sell this one product. And I forgot to mention, but this demo store that I created is a one product store. So it's very similar to what BlendJet has done here. And as you can see, they start right away with some benefits, right? They're like, imagine the freedom of being able to go anywhere and blend your favorite smoothies, blah, 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 without the limitations of a regular blender. So this is what I'm talking about when it comes to emotional selling. They're not only selling the functionality of the product, but they're selling the convenience and just the overall experience, right? And this is really, really effective. And I really love the description. It's very informative, it's very branded and clean, and it just really shows you exactly what the product does and how. There's no guesswork involved. And as you can see, they have just a bunch of really awesome reviews at the bottom, which of course are very essential. I highly recommend that you use reviews on your website. And so now that you've built a good foundation and you have all that ready to go, now it's step 2, the ad, which is arguably the most important part in this whole entire process. You will not be able to get to $1,000 a day if you don't have a proper ad that people actually resonate with. So here are some really good baseline tips that are really going to help you create an amazing ad. Of course, you will be gathering your clips from Facebook, AliExpress, and YouTube. Now, of course, make sure you're careful with this. Don't take content from really huge influencers. That might get you in trouble, and it's just gonna really cut your momentum, and you don't wanna do that. So in order to avoid that completely, make sure you stay away from big influencers with copyrighted content. Now, the more content that you can find, the better. And honestly, if you can't find content for a product, I probably wouldn't test it unless you really believe in the product. If that's the case, then I would recommend that you order it on Amazon and that you create your own content or hire some sort of photography agency in your local area to create content for you. These are things I've done myself. I've also contacted influencers to create custom content for me, and this does work extremely well when it comes to getting more branded content to use. But it's not so much a beginner strategy, which is why I didn't really include it in these tips. Now, in your video, I highly advise that you do present a problem and a solution afterwards. As I said earlier, this is going to be the best way to not only hook your customer, but also to make them feel an emotion, which will more likely than not make them want to buy your product. Now, a huge tip here is to try to make your ad look native. People don't like seeing ads, okay? Nobody likes commercials, nobody likes ads. So make sure that your ad is not too salesy and that it actually looks like it would fit somebody's feed, right? I like to call this a viral video format. If If you've ever seen videos from like BuzzFeed and stuff like that, they do an amazing job at this. They make content that is just fun to watch. And this is exactly what you should have in mind when it comes to creating your video ad. Now, another big tip that I want to give you here is to always test at least 2 different ads. Now, they don't have to be insanely different. Small changes can actually make a big difference. So I recommend that you split test the first 3 seconds of your video by, creating different variations, maybe the ad copy that you're using, thumbnails that you may be using, or just a new video altogether. Now, for my product test, I actually tested 4 different variations of the video, 2 different first 3 seconds of the video, and then 2 different ad copies. So it added up to 4 videos in total. Now, if you want to see exactly how to create a viral winning ad, I will link a video in the description in which I literally walk you step by step on how I created a viral winning ad that ended up being a really successful product launch as well. So make sure that you check that out after this video. Now, moving on to step 3, now we're actually getting to testing. So assuming you did all of those other things, right now you're actually ready to test your product. And here's when you're actually going to start spending money. So trust me, it's important that you do the previous steps properly. Don't skimp out on this stuff, because if you rush it, chances are you're not going to find a winning product and you're going to end up spending a lot more money without many results. Now, a couple of things I want to cover before I dive into my ad account is that it's really, really important that you understand that there's no magic strategy. So I'm sure you've seen tons of videos out there of different strategies, similar strategies maybe, or completely different testing strategies. Now, here's the thing, none of these are going to magically make your product work. It's really all down to your product selection, marketing, and branding. If you do proper product selection, marketing, and branding, you can make any testing strategy work. However, I will say that this particular strategy is what I've found to be the most cost efficient and time efficient for testing products, which is amazing for a complete beginner, but not just a beginner, even someone who's seasoned and you know what you're doing. Without further ado, here is basically the strategy overview. So what we're gonna do is create 10 different ad sets, right? And we're gonna actually target all e-packet countries in these ad sets. I'll leave you a list in the description of all the e-packet countries so that you can just copy and paste those into your location box when you're creating your Facebook ads. And each ad set is gonna have a different interest. Now, make sure, of course, that the interest is related to your product or the niche of your product, but honestly, it doesn't have to be an exact match. Broad interests work really well, and I'm actually gonna show you some examples here very soon. Now, make sure you target Facebook and Instagram feeds, and I almost always leave it at default for your conversion window. Just leave it at 7-day click or 1-day view. This isn't gonna make or break your your campaigns, so just, in my opinion, it's best to just leave it at default. Now, let me walk you through exactly what happened here on a day-by-day basis, but first, let me just cover something real briefly here. So when it comes to step 4, this is gonna be actually analyzing your data and scaling, but something that's really important when it comes to this is knowing your break-even point, because this will allow you to know whether you should do $5 per day on an ad set or $10 a day on an ad set. And here, when it comes to analyzing your data and scaling, you really have to have a spend money to make money mindset. You can't get hung up on the money that you're spending because you're acquiring data, and data is expensive. So it's totally okay to spend money without any results. But in order to minimize our losses, we really need to be aware of our break-even point. So your break-even point is just your selling price minus your cost of goods, which is the same as your profit margin. So your break-even point is your profit margin. Now, for this particular product, my profit margin was only $10. The product was $15 and we were making a $10 margin on it. Now, one thing I want to make clear here is in February of 2020, Facebook will make CBO's campaign budget optimization a mandatory setting for all campaigns. Now, when this does happen, don't fret. You can simply add spend limits to each individual ad set to make sure that they don't spend past a certain point. So by following the break-even point chart I'm giving you here, you'll know whether or not to put a $5 a day ad spend limit on an ad set or a $10 a day ad spend limit on an ad set. But anyways, now that we got that covered, you know that my break-even point is $10, which is below the $15 break-even point mark that I showed you, which means that I actually started all of my ad sets at only $5 per day. Now, as I showed you on the strategy chart, I do recommend that you do 10 different ad sets, But in our case, we actually did we did almost 25 different ad sets because I was very confident in this product. So we decided to just start out with a little bit bigger ad spend. So as you can see, this is day one. So, July 7th, nothing happened on here. But day one, July 8th, we actually spent about $127 and we made back about $348 in return, which means that we had a 2.73 ROAS. Now, this is really awesome. These are great results for a first day test. And we were only able to do this because we didn't skimp out on the previous steps, right? So this is why I made sure to emphasize that, because a lot of people want to rush into this thinking that, there's a quick solution to making money online. There isn't. You have to put in the work and you will get results like this. And if I show you the ad sets, so this product was in the health and beauty niche. So we targeted a bunch of different beauty brands. Nothing too complicated. We literally just thought of every possible beauty influencer, brand, product that we could think of, and we targeted it in an individual ad set. And as you can see, we found amazing results. And we found, a ton of winning ad sets from the very beginning, which really set us up for success in the afterwards. Now on day two, which was July 9th, we added more ad sets, which is part of the scaling that I will be showing you. And we made even more money. So this day we spent $244 and brought back $507 in sales. So our ROAS did go down to 2.08, but we effectively scaled our ad spend profitably. Now on day three, we were actually able to increase our ad spend again. And again, the ROAS actually stayed the same. So we actually spent $276 and brought back $788 for a total of 2.09 ROAS, return on ad spend. So that's day three. And then on day four, we were actually able to scale to $1,000 a day. Now, not all of the sales were tracked, which is really important to note, just so that you know that we did reach $1,000 on this day. And the ROAS did dip, but like I said, we increased our ad spend, so it's only natural for the ROAS to dip a little bit. And then from then on, we just maintained the ad spend for a little bit, just so it would stabilize. The ROAS did go down again on this day, but we didn't panic. We just cut out all the bad ad sets and created a bunch of new ones. And as you can see, our ROAS went back up again and we finally crossed the $1,000 a day mark. And from there, we kept analyzing our data and it just kept getting better and better and just very, very consistent. So as you saw, one of the biggest things when it comes to actually testing your product is being able to effectively analyze your data so that you can actually scale. Now, as I said previously, a big mindset shift that you have to have when it comes to this is making sure that you have to understand that you have to spend money to get data, and you have to get data to scale. So if you're not spending money on ads, you're not going to be able to scale. And this doesn't only apply to e-commerce, this applies to general business, honestly. So just make sure that you have that mindset in mind. Otherwise, you're always going to be, terrified of spending money on paid advertising, and that's not a good way to run your business. Now, here are some of the metrics that you will be looking at day one. So I showed you day one and showed you exactly what was going on and showed you some of those metrics that we were looking at, but you really want to aim for a cost per unique link click under $1. So if we look back on day one here, we see that a bunch of our ad sets, basically every single one of our ad sets had a cost per click below $1, except for this one right here. So this one didn't, but you'd never want to make super irrational decisions. So I still left it on and didn't kill it right away. Now you also want to aim for a click-through rate of above 2%. This means that your ad is actually clicking with people and that people are actually really enjoying it, which is always a good sign. And as you can see, on average, we had a 3% click-through rate, which meant that our ad was actually really good and really clicked with people. And of course, as far as CPMs go, you definitely want to make sure that your CPMs are hovering at $15 or below. Now, all of this really depends on your purchases. If you're getting a ton of purchases, but your CPM is like $30, then it's not a huge deal. Now, here's the thing. If you're profitable on day one, make sure that that same night you schedule 10 brand new ad sets targeting very similar interests to the ones that were winning. So for example, here, like I said, let's say Kim Kardashian worked really well. So then guess what? The next day, I'm gonna target Khloe Kardashian, Kylie, Kendall, the whole Kardashian family, because I know that this is working well. So I'm gonna target more of the same thing. and I'm gonna start building my army of profitable ad sets. If you're breaking even though, but your metrics look good, so your CPMs, all that stuff, it looks decent, then just let it be, right? Don't make any irrational decisions. You have to make sure to spend money on Facebook ads to get data back. Now, if you're unprofitable, make sure that you figure out where the bottleneck is, right? Double check your store. If your CTR is really, really low, like below 1%, make sure that you create a new ad. And another thing is to cut anything with a cost per link click above $2. If you targeted everything like I showed you, then you shouldn't be getting cost per link clicks above $2. Now, if you do, but you're getting purchases or add to carts, then just make sure you leave it alone. But if you're not getting any of those things, then just kill that early and replace it with a brand new ad set. And same thing with your CTR. If it's below 1%, but all your other metrics look good, then maybe leave it alone. But if it's below 1% and all the metrics look bad, then make sure you pause it and you test a new ad. Now on day 2, you're gonna be aiming for the same metrics as day 1. So all the CPM, CPC, CTR, you're gonna wanna make sure that everything's still looking good, but do not panic if your costs went up for some reason. This could just be due to random Facebook ad variance, so it's really important that you don't just freak out and make irrational decisions. And depending on your break-even point, make sure you cut anything that didn't make sales. So for us, our break-even point was only $10. So on day 2, we actually started cutting ad sets that weren't making sales and replacing them with brand new ones. Now, of course, if you're continuing to be profitable, create another 10 ad sets with similar audiences to your winning audiences. So as you can see, scaling is actually pretty easy when you're profitable. When you're profitable, all scaling is creating more ad sets and increasing your ad spend. And that's exactly what we did. I showed you on day 1, we spent like 120. Day 2, we spent 250. Day 3, we spent 350. Day 4, we spent 500. And that's how we got to $1,000 a day. So on day 3, nothing's changed. You're still looking for the same metrics. And of course, again, do not panic if your costs went up. And now again, if you're at your break-even point with some ad sets and they haven't made sales, kill them and replace them with new ones. Now at this point on day 3, if you've made 0 sales and you're extremely unprofitable and you've made 0 sales, just kill the product and move on. Now here's the thing, beyond day 3, the way that we've scaled this is by creating new audiences, right? Horizontal scaling. This is the most effective way to scale at the beginning because you're not putting all your eggs into one basket. Now here's the thing, once you have 5 winning ad sets with 5 or more sales each, then the best way to scale even further is to duplicate those 5 ad sets and put them in their own CBO campaign at $200 a day. And of course, another thing to note is once you reach 2,000 or more content views, make sure that you start creating lookalikes with the same method of testing in a separate campaign and start some retargeting campaigns as well. I'll leave a video in the description on exactly how to set those up so that you're not confused, but this is very important. So hopefully this gave you a really, really good outline to follow for testing your products. And this not only has worked for me, but it has worked for countless of students of mine. And I actually have a quick special announcement that I want to make. So as you guys know, I do have a course that I created and we are actually switching platforms. So we switched to a brand new platform. As you can see, we switched from Teachable to Kajabi and it's finally all done and ready to go. Now, why did I switch? Of course, I'm always trying to be transparent with you guys. And one of the reasons why I really wanted to switch was to brand the course better. I felt that on Teachable, I was really limited with the amount of features that they have. And I really want to treat this course as a true education business because that's what it is. And you know, I actually dropped out of school and the reason why is because I wasn't getting the knowledge that I needed to make my online business work. And I knew that I wanted to pursue online entrepreneurship. So this is why I'm actually very passionate about education and which is why I'm really excited about treating this as an education business. I see it as a new beginning for my course. I'm also going to be making more content showing this exact demo store that I showed you in this guide. So I'm going to be showing you examples of how we did the ad copy, you know, how we wrote the description and stuff like that so that you can get a really, really solid example of how you should be testing your product and setting it up. And this nice branded platform is really gonna allow that content to really shine. Now, of course, like I said, there's just a ton more features and free resources that I can provide to not only my students, but to you guys as well. If you're already a member, don't worry, you get lifetime access to all new updates, and this is of course included, and lifetime access to the private group as well. This is not gonna change. Now, make sure that you pay attention to the private group because I'll be updating you guys on there of when I transfer all the accounts. And this is very important. This is gonna take me a little bit of time. It's very tedious, so just be patient and just stay active in the group. I'll let you guys know exactly what's going on. Now, if you're not a member yet, I just kind of want to celebrate this new beginning, as I like to call it. So I'm gonna be offering a $75 discount for the whole entire course for the next 4 days. So the code that you can use at checkout is SAVE75. And yeah, I really can't wait to see some of you guys join the family. Let me give you a quick sneak peek of what the new course platform looks like. So as you can see, the content just looks so much cleaner on here. And let me show you the resources here. So this is the blog. This is accessible to anyone. It's not just the course members. And yeah, I'm gonna be putting some of my YouTube content on here and just making this whole thing a lot more congruent and more branded overall. Now, of course, if you want to see some of the results that the Ecom Inner Circle has, this is actually from inside of the group. This is one of our students that recently posted. So they did $500,000 in sales in just a single day. And you know what? This isn't the first student that we've had that has done this, which is pretty crazy. And if you want to see some more of our testimonials and results, then make sure you go on my Instagram page at Arie Scherson, and you look at my students highlights here. You'll be able to see all of the student results that we've had. And yes, these are all real people and real results. I don't want to go through all of these. This is going to take forever, but we've had just some amazing feedback on the course and results, which I'm extremely proud of and just really excited about. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I know it was a little bit long, but I tried to make it as thorough as possible, and I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure that you drop a like on the video. Now here's a little treat that I want to give you guys. I did make this whole entire video into a PDF format that you can follow so that you don't have to check this video every single time you want to use this strategy. So I'll leave the link in the description for you to be able to download this exact guide. It took me some time to put together, but I'm really happy that I did, and I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. But with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for all the support that you guys gave me. It really goes a long way, and I really appreciate it. But with that being said, I'll be seeing you in my next video. Peace out.